hope you guys are doing well. So we were talking about the realist writers or the writers related to the realism movement of America. So today we will be talking about a very important writer. He is Mark Twain, born in 1835 and he is dying in 1910. So Mark Twain is one of the most important writer. This picture in front of you is of Mark Twain. He is the writer who termed this age of realism as the Gilded Age, an age where extremely, we'll say that this is an age where industrialization is becoming so important and there are a lot of people who are becoming rich. So it is the period where a lot of people are becoming richer and richer, and nowadays during this time the focus was more on industrialization rather than on agriculture that was happening previously in America. So born in Florida, Missouri, उनका बर्थडे कब आता है? On 30th November in 1835 he is born. Parents to John and Jane Clemens. He was raised in Hannibal in Missouri. So his uncle and father both were owned slaves, and from whom he actually has listened. So his uncle and his father both owned a number of slaves from whom he has listened to a lot of stories and a lot of songs of these people who were African Americans. This was where he learned to tell a lot of stories, and this was called as the art of telling stories. So he had this profound love for telling the stories. He went to school and he studied till 5th grade. He left school at the age of 11 when his father died in 1847. And it is also an event that is seen in a number of works that he has written. He is not favoring education is a theme that is seen in the number of works that he has written. So in 1865, it is a time period when Mark Twain is going to publish the first short story that he is famous for. It is called as Jim Smiley and His Jumping Frog. So this is the first short story that he is going to publish in 1865. Then in 1876, he is going to write one of the most important work that he is famous for, that is Tom Sawyer. This work would be published, and in 1884, he will write The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. This is another work that was published, both of which are one of the most important and the popular works that he has written. So firstly, we have Adventures of Tom Sawyer coming out in 1876. And after that, the sequel to this work, or maybe you can say the same characters would be used again in another work called as The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. And this work is coming out in 1884. Right? So William Faulkner is going to term this person, Mark Twain, as the father of American literature. Mark Twain is also called as the father of American literature, and he is associated with realism. He is the one who starts to talk about the reality, the day-to-day life of you can say the slaves that are there, and what are these people doing who are the holders of the slaves. So the reality is portrayed in a very dramatic manner in the works of Mark Twain, and he is famous for all the works that he has written. Gradually, we will be discussing every work that he has done. It would be beneficial. There are short summaries that I have tried to give you here. You can pause the video, read the summary. It is important to know the works that he has done from the examination point of view. Some works are there that you can read in greater detail. For example, you can read Tom Sawyer as well as The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn in greater detail. All the characters should be known to you as well as the dates should be known to you when it comes to these two works. So let us discuss the first work. Work is coming out in 1869. 1869 का ये work है. In 1869 this work is coming out. It is called as Innocents Abroad. So Innocents Abroad is Mark Twain's account of the various adaptations. So he is using his own newspaper reports and his adventures while he was traveling through Europe, in the Middle East, and then to the other parts of America. So we see that this is nothing but about an account of his multiple voyages from one place to another. So this is the Innocents Abroad. So he has this steam ship that he is taking. It is called as the Quaker City, and he is moving towards the Quaker City from one place to another, and multiple experiments he is going to write in this work. This journey will articulate an important trip towards this holy land, and he is going to talk about the number of pilgrims that he will find that were coming to the new world and living there. So this is an important work, and he got his reputation from this work. Then we have Roughing It. It is coming out in 1872. So 1872 का work है. In 1861, a 25-year-old man, Sam की story है. Sam Clemens. He is going to leave his job and he is then going to try his hands on a steamboat. तो वो river boat के pilot बन जाएंगे on the Mississippi River during the outbreak of the Civil War. And this has a lot of autobiographical references, as Mark Twain did the same only. He left his career, he left his job, he left his schooling as well, just because he had a lot of charm to become a riverboat pilot. So it is part autobiographical, it is part a travelogue journey, and it is also a tale of Mark Twain's. It is an account of different places he is going to experience and different people he is going to meet. It is the journey towards American West, where he is going to meet a lot of people when Mark Twain is still very young. So it is coming out in 1872. Then we have the Gilded Age. It is coming just एकदम next year के अंदर ही आता है, in 1873, just after the previous work, that is Roughing It. In 1873, this work came out, the Gilded Age. The Gilded Age with Mark Twain. Basically, this work is an important work, and Gilded Age जो Mark Twain का है, it is written in collaboration with another writer, Hartford. So वो उनके neighbor थे, उनके साथ उन्होंने Hartford के अंदर उनके neighbor थे, called as Charles Dodley. Charles Dodley उनके neighbor थे. He is again an important writer. उनके साथ वो लिख रहे हैं ये story, and it is talking about the materialistic excess of the people and how this world of realism or this world in America is becoming an age where people are only running after material success. Here industries are more important. Here people are not relying on any love or personal connections that they are making, but on material success. So this term, the Gilded Age, is coming directly from this work, The Gilded Age, in 1873. And how every taste and every sensibility of an American citizen is jeopardized during this period because of materialism. Then we have another important work in 1876. This work is coming out, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, as I told you, is a work जिसकी summary आपको greater detail में पढ़नी पड़ेगी. It can be asked in the paper as well. Then there is another work, The Tramp Abroad. The Tramp Abroad in 1880. ये work आता है. This is the third of the 5 travel books that are authored by Mark Twain. The Tramp Abroad basically contains experiences of Mark Twain's walking tour to various places like Germany, Switzerland and France. So it's like a travel book. He's traveling from one place to another. He's meeting a lot of people and he's drafting the travel notes. और वो उनकी travel novels बन जाती है last में. A Tramp Abroad basically places Twain as a narrator. On oftentimes he is going to go and he is going to visit a lot of places. He is visiting, he is doing self-discoveries. There are mysteries that are there in the European continent. It's a wonderful satire on the people who were visiting the European continent during that time also. Then we have The Prince and the Pauper. The Prince and the Pauper is another very important work. It is a work that is coming out in 1881. कब आता है ये? 1881 में. So we have Edward Tudor and Tom Canty. These are the two important characters. ये same age के हैं, same features हैं, same दिखने वाले two boys हैं. एक को क्या मिलना है? One is a pauper child and one is going to receive every wealth that is there on, and he is going to get inheritance of the throne of England also. So these are these two children who are looking same. One is a pauper and the other is going to get everything that is associated with the throne of England. But what will happen? While they are playing together, they decide that it would be fun to switch their clothes, but suddenly their fate also is going to swap. So because they were swapping the clothes, their fate also will change. So Tom learns what it is to be caught in a life that is lowly, being a pauper, and vice versa. औरों को भी समझ आएगा कि किस तरीके से living in a very hypothetical situation, living in a world where a lot of people are there, but everyone is butchering you. This is how these two boys will learn about each other's life. So Tom learns what it is to be caught in the pomp and folly of the royal court, and the young prince learn how to survive in the lowest of the depths in the 16th century English society. So here the social hypocrisy, the hardships of the people who are living there are the two most important themes that Mark Twain are going to exemplify in this work, The Prince and the Pauper. Then we have Life on Mississippi. Life on Mississippi is a seminal work that is coming out in 1883 by Mark Twain. It's a work on the river that gave birth to much of the most successful fiction. Entertaining, yet it is also an enlightenment work that is there. Life on Mississippi is a text on the history, life, as well as the lure of the great river during the 19th century. But it is also talking about the scientific discoveries that were going on during the period where piloting is going on in the Mississippi River. So Mississippi River के बारे में सब चीजें आपको पता लगती हैं from this text. It is talking about the waterway system in America. Then we have Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. It is using the same characters that were there in Tom Sawyer. It is coming out in 1884. This work is coming out in 1884. It's a classical novel written, it's a classic piece written by it is written by Mark Twain. Mark Twain has written Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, which tells the story of a teenage misfit who finds himself floating on the raft down to Mississippi River with who is trying to escape a slave, Jim. तो वो किसको बचा रहे हैं? There is a slave. He is called as Jim. Very important character. TYQ है, इस तरीके से वो characters भी पूछ लेते हैं. तो वो Jim को escape करा रहे हैं. So we have Huck, Tom and Jim. These are the three characters. इस book में उन्हें Jim मिलता है. So we have Tom as well as Huck, जो पहले वाली novels में भी है. Tom Sawyer के जो adventure है, उसके अंदर भी they are there, and they are talking about the slavery that is there during the Civil War during the 1880s. Twain uses Huckleberry to illustrate the failures of the Reconstruction in the post-Civil War South also. So we all know that there is, suppose this is America, we have been doing this American literature in the class as well, and we know that America was divided into three parts. We have the Northern America, which was called as the New England, where the first people came and settled. Then there is the Middle East. Middle East part is the part where the Quakers were living. The Quakers were basically the people who were not at all staunch believers in religion. They were pragmatists. They were people who wanted to live a very peaceful life. While in the northern part, there were pilgrims who firstly came there. So they were Puritans. The forefathers firstly came and settled in the northern part. While there was the southern part, जहाँ पे South America के अंदर, जहाँ पे plantation सबसे ज़्यादा होती है. So we know that the entire country was divided into two broad parts, that is the North and the South, when the Civil War broke out. And it is Abraham Lincoln who had his party, the Democratic Party, in the northern part. So when Abraham Lincoln fought for the slavery to be abolished, we see that the southern constituencies came together and they said that they do not want, these were basically the important plantation holders. These were the owners of the plantation areas because they had slaves. There were African Americans who were working there as slaves. There were tobacco plantations and there were many districts and they were working on those areas. So what will happen during the Civil War? Abraham Lincoln will fight for the slavery to be abolished. These constituencies will also fight, but ultimately we all know that Abraham Lincoln will win. But what is it? It is going to cost a lot. It is going to cost him his own life. He will be assassinated. Walt Whitman is going to write a very important poem on it. Oh Captain, my Captain. And there are other important writers who are going to give tribute to Abraham Lincoln also. But after Abraham Lincoln dies, he said that there will be Reconstruction period. So during 1 year or 2 years, he said that everything would be, every rule, regulation that they had in America, that would be changed and these African Americans would be given equal status as the Americans were given. But unfortunately, it never happened and there was still a lot of problems that these African Americans went. There was, of course, Ku Klux Klan, KKK. हमने आज ही क्लास में डिटेल में पढ़ा है. We studied about the Jim Crow laws. The Jim Crow laws were the laws about racial segregation. And then there is the Great Movement, the Great Migration that happened and ultimately Harlem Renaissance happened. So इन सब के बारे में after the failure of the Reconstruction, जो अब्राहम लिंकन को लगा था कि Reconstruction हम कर देंगे and South भी जो साउथ अमेरिका है वो भी बहुत प्रॉस्परस हो जाएगा. It never happened. Still there were problems. We in the class today only discussed about Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois. So these are the things that you should know. Anyway, coming back to the point, we have this very important text which is talking about the Reconstruction period and it is associated with the fugitive slave trade. किसके साथ associated है? Fugitive फ्यूजिटिव स्लेव ट्रेड, जिसके अंदर एक बार ही बोला गया था कि सारे स्लेव्स को छोड़ दो, लेकिन बाद में फिर फ्यूजिटिव स्लेव ट्रेड आने की वजह से दोबारा से सारे स्लेव्स को कैप्चर किया जा रहा था. तो दिस इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड इट इज द बैकग्राउंड ऑफ a lot of works that Mark Twain has written. Okay, then we have the Kennicott Yankee in King Arthur's Court. It is coming out in 1889. This work is again very important. Here is this person called as Hank Morgan. Hank Morgan there will be a hammer that is stuck on his head and ultimately he just faints, and जब वो उठते हैं तो he is transposed to a time of King Arthur, and he is going to talk about the innovations, about the school, the factories, and how the gunpowder plot happened. All of these things will be seen, and Mark Twain beautifully will talk about it. Then we have the Diaries of Adam and Eve. It is an extract from the Diaries of Adam. It is an extract from Adam's diary. It's a very witty and whimsical look at the biblical creation of the story of Adam's adventure as he explores his own new world. How Adam and Eve were expelled from the heaven, and how the deprecation, or you can say the depravity of the man, how the great sin befell on man. That is the story, and it will be molded, and you will see in this biblical account how Adam is going to come to earth and he is going to look at the new place where he is living. So Adam and Eve were banished from the paradise, and because of Eve getting tempted by the serpent, and how the great sin was there now cursed upon everyone living there on the world. So this is how they will portray, Mark Twain will portray you in a very witty manner, in a very whimsical manner, what all happened. By contrast, Eve's diary is also there, and in this, Twain is going to give tribute to the beloved wife, Livy, using this work. Then we have the tragedy of Puddlehead Wilson, the tragedy of Puddlehead Wilson, coming out in 1894. It's a murder mystery set in a town in Mississippi where there are strong and weak characters, and an interesting read that you can do. And there are some of the black characters and some white characters that are intermingled together. Racial segregation is again an important theme, and this writing is, of course, as I told you, it's a murder mystery, so you can read it. It is going to talk about birth, as well as there are scenes of funeral, which is a heart-chilling text to read. So try to read this work. Then Personal Recollections of Joan of Arc is another work coming out in 1896. Storm said that he regarded this work to be the best of the works that he has done. His version of the story of Maid of Orleans, who in 1429 at the age of 17 led the French rebellion against English domination. So he is rewriting the works, he is rewriting the story of the Maid of Orleans, जिन्होंने 17 years की एज में in 1429 एक war led किया था. So they are belonging to the French rebellion, और वो किससे बात कर रहे हैं, किसके against कर रहे हैं, against the English domination. Okay, so this is the work. Joan of Arc के बारे में basically बात हो रही है, how she was someone who fought against the English people. So this is a work, and this is an adaptation, you can say a rewriting of the already written stories, and a lot of people have used it. Then we have Following the Equator. Following the Equator is a work that is coming out in 1897. 1897 में ये Mark Twain का fifth and the last travel book है, and it is only famous for that. There are paragraphs which are talking about Asian culture. There are paragraphs talking about the British rule in India, South African politics, etc. So a lot of knowledge is given in this work, Following the Equator, and a lot of humorous passages are also there in this work. Then we have Mysterious Stranger. The Mysterious Stranger is an adult tale that is set in the medieval European village. The Mysterious Stranger basically tells the story of some boys who encounter a young stranger who performs wonderful feats of magic and shows the boys different times and different places that are seen in the history by mankind. तो पुराने flashback technique use करके and बहुत सारे different magical techniques use करके there will be a magician who will showcase the world to these boys. He will talk about religion, faith, good, evil, etc. This work is coming out in 1916, The Mysterious Stranger. There are some other shorter works that are done by Mark Twain, like we have neglected short works like The Collected Tales, Sketches and Speeches. Then there are some essays collection जो उन्होंने 1852 से 1890 तक किए हैं, एंड देन देयर इज अनदर कलेक्शन ऑफ एसेज जो उन्होंने 1891 से 1910 तक किए. Both are the essay collections and they are like the neglected essays that are there by Mark Twain. You do not have to go here and look and search for the essays. Rather, more important is the oeuvre that is related to the books that are there written by Mark Twain. So these are basically all the works that he has written. I hope you understood all of these things. The Life on Mississippi, Tom Sawyer, A Tramp Abroad, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Roughing It, or The Innocent Abroad are some of the important works, and I suggest you to read the summary, especially of two works. One is The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and the other is The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Try to know the various incidents. Also, if not, try to read a little bit about the characters that are there. This is going to help you. Also, he is the writer who termed this era of realism, these writings about the reality, called as the Gilded Age. So, Gilded Age किसने coin किया है? It is Mark Twain, जिन्होंने Gilded Age coin किया है. I hope you understood. I hope you liked this video. It is an informative piece of work जिसके अंदर से आप अपने खुद के notes बना सकते हैं, and I hope you liked it. If you still have any doubt, you can ask me that in the comment section and I'll surely reply to you. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.